Hi, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Block. This is the August edition of Inside the Block, and it is sponsored by Room Group Solutions. My name is Lon Hudman. I'm going to be your host today, and I wanted to introduce my panelists, my guests. First of all, Vicki Saavedra, and Vicki is the owner of Saavedra Consulting. And then also we have Wendy Reid and her husband, Dan, and Wendy owns AZ Outdoor Events, and Dan is the director of events at the JW Marriott Camelback in Scottsdale, Arizona. So today, the topic is going to be staffing and how staffing has possibly changed in the hotel industry or in the hospitality and travel industry post-COVID. And we're also going to talk a little bit about how AI is affecting staffing now and how we see that affecting it into the future. And okay, let's start with just a basic introduction. Vicki, why don't you tell us a little bit about Saavedra Consulting and what you do and your experience in the hospitality industry?
Well, hi, Dan and Wendy. It's very nice to meet you. Wendy, right? Yes. So
Yes.
I've been in the industry since 93 and in the event space. Worked for, a couple different companies. I semi-retired a couple of years ago and got bored rather quickly and decided to open up my own consulting firm. And what I focus on with my clients is they will submit me an RFP for any event technology, whether my specialty is audio, visual, and production. But registration, badge printing, I'm kind of dabbling into sourcing with venues, but that's kind of new right now to me. It's not something I've done. It's not in my portfolio. And Scott, who's an old work colleague of mine, referred me over to Teresa, and her and I did have a very good conversation, interesting conversation on what RoomRight does. I thought, wow, maybe I can add that into my portfolio. But what I do, I have vetted partners that I source out. When I get an RFP in, I source it out to get the best bang for the buck for the client. I also tear apart their RFPs because meeting planners just don't know how to write a proper RFP, period. I don't care what service it's for. They just don't know what they're doing. So
I agree.
I think in all of my years, I've received 2 exquisite RFPs. The other ones, you have to have a discovery call to see what the hell they're talking about. And, they give me a list of equipment. I go, what do you want me to do with this? What's your scope of work? What's your, what kind of attendee experience do you want, for your members and your attendees? And so that's what kind of got me fired up, because I've served on several boards in the industry. I'm a member of PCMA and IEEE, MPI. I tried a couple times, but I really didn't get much penetration with that. It's just not, well, it's been probably 15 years since I went down that path. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I'm putting my clients together with the right partners that I have vetted out, and I just put them together. That's basically what I do.
That's great. We were talking before we actually started this discussion that we have a very similar background and some of the same experiences. And, it sounds to me like you could possibly work with Wendy, okay, if you're like hiring different entities, different vendors, when you put together an RFP. So, Wendy, tell us about AZ Outdoor Events and what you've been up to lately. Now, first of all, I have to let everyone know, all of our viewers know, that they were willing to come on and interrupt their vacation, and they're at the beach.
Yeah.
But now, what beach are you at, Wendy?
Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach. And and she and Dan were willing to come on, even though they're on vacation, to help us
That's
with
lovely.
this
That's
discussion.
lovely.
So, if it looks like that they're dressed for the beach, that is a fact. They've been on the beach. So, Wendy, tell us about AZ Outdoor Events.
I'm hired usually by hotels like Dan's department or through DMCs. I have very little business to consumer. It's all business to business customers.
What's
Yep.
a DMC?
A destination
It's
management.
a management company.
Ah, perfect.
There it is.
And so
He's a hotel guy.
I know, right? And so they pretty much reach out to me when they have programs. I rent the tall outdoor heaters. I have 150, so I can do really big parties. I can do several parties in one day. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinners. I also have misting fans for the heat and umbrellas.
All right.
So are you nationwide, Wendy?
No, I work exclusively right now just in Arizona.
Just in Arizona. Okay.
And I have some contacts in Nevada, but it really has to be a big event for me to travel to Las Vegas.
Okay.
All right. So, Dan, tell me a little bit about what you're doing at the JW Marriott Camelback.
Sure. So my team, the event planning department, once a convention is booked for the hotel, it gets turned over to my team to detail everything at that point. So we plan it from A to Z with the rooms division, sleeping room division, and then the food and beverage for the catered events that this convention may be looking for. Hence the need for, if you do an outdoor event, then it's January in Scottsdale is very cold at night, beautiful in the day, obviously, and you need a heater. So that's how this came along. And you talked about to talk a little bit about what COVID, post-COVID, a lot of hotels own their own heaters, these patio heaters. Well, ever since COVID mandated several labor issues, as you talked about, so a lot of cutback was performed, and now we're ramping up. We are fully staffed now and have been since roughly 23 is when we saw a full comeback. But for most of the resorts, especially out here in Scottsdale and the Phoenix Southwest area. So, but again, to these heaters, there's a lot of work into it. You've got most hotels own 30, 40 heaters, maybe 50. It depends on the size of it. So, but it takes a lot of work to maintain them. They get bent up. You're having someone that really doesn't take care of it as good as someone like Wendy's, team does, her company does. She really takes care of them. Hence, so you hire that out. And when she mentioned the DMC, they'll contact Wendy because that company is going to piece out. We need heaters, we need misters, we need characterists. So that's what that DMC does. They're a middleman, if you would. Yeah. So they do all the decor and all that stuff. Does that make sense? So the labor part got taken away because most hotels, when I came back to Camelback in 2022, I asked how many heaters we have. Oh, we don't. We let the DMC handle that. So the DMC will charge $200 for a heater. Hence, and this is a portable heater that you buy at Home Depot, if you will. So anyway, it's a nice little business for Wendy to get into. But back to the labor part, that's off our plate. So we work hand in hand with the DMC that we have assigned, have a partnership with here in Scottsdale. So anyway, that's part of that issue. So my department plans all the food and beverage, anything soup to nuts from the start of the program to the end, and the billing and so forth. So,
right. Well, so what have you seen, Vicki, in terms of post-COVID? What are the biggest changes you've seen in the hospitality industry post-COVID?
I would say probably the budgets all the way around, because there was a lot of folks across all verticals that were furloughed, and So I'm seeing a lot of subcontracting going on. Uh, I'm thinking about, AV and
Yeah, and
production.
specifically on the AV side of things, are you seeing? I mean, I know during COVID there was a big shift to do more virtual events. Okay, if you're going to have an
Oh
event,
yeah, that's all we did was
yeah,
virtual events. That's what kept my, food on table. Is we got thrust into that because we didn't have a choice. I can remember March of 2020, my emails like a ticker tape of all these cancellations. And it started with all my March events through July, and then it went through, the remainder of the year.
yeah.
Right? Like everything shut down, events were canceled. It was a nightmare. We all know that. So um coming back and trying to bring back those furloughed employees, was tough because they had to feed their families, so they moved on to, other jobs. So but here we are 6 years post COVID, and I'm just seeing, for me, in my field, I'm seeing that the labor rates are sky high. They're really, really high. Um, and that's problematic, with whether you're an association or a corporate event, planning a meeting, and you have to incorporate those higher rates, right? And Dan, one of my biggest competitors has always been the in-house, Encore.
Yeah, of course.
So, that's an ongoing issue,
Yeah.
right? And one of my things is I review hotel contracts with my clients because a lot of them just don't know that I sound really awkward saying this, but they do not have to use the in-house, right?
No.
So that's part of my, advice. But going back to your initial question on, I think it's not only the rates, the labor rates, but it's also the talent, right? And making sure that you have qualified talent, whether it be a technical director, a stage manager, an A1, a V1, a V2, whatever it is.
Do
That's
you feel like a lot of the talented people that you've worked with in the past have left the industry, or did so during COVID?
I I think that they went off on their own,
Hmm.
And developed their own organizations. Now I still work with some guys that I worked with way back before, pre-COVID. And they're fair guys, but I think maybe a handful of them just went on their own, like, okay, I don't have to work for this organization anymore and make peanuts when I can
freelance. Yeah,
yeah,
more,
thank you, that's the word I was looking for.
yeah, a lot more
Now
freelance.
freelanced. And maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but one of my largest events this year was it was called Revved Up, and it was all about A1 or AI,
Okay.
right, which I know zero about, right? I mean, I know how to use Chat GPT and a couple of other ones, but I'm sitting at the tech table on a headset and I'm listening to all these speakers, the CEO of Time Magazine and some very impressive speakers on how they are incorporating this into their business. And I'm like, wow, I really need to get on this bandwagon and understand it a little bit better. Chat box, and all of that. It's really infiltrating this industry. That's for darn sure. It really is.
Well, do you think that it's going to help? You mentioned that meeting planners can't send out a good RFP. You think maybe AI is going to help meeting planners send out a
Well,
more?
I don't know. I mean, when I get one, I can see right off the bat it's been, they've used some sort of a AI, right? That still doesn't give me the warm and fuzzy feeling of like what kind of meeting and experience, are you trying to provide to your audience? So I'm on the post with AI. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah,
I'm on
you
the
you haven't
post.
you haven't you're not sure
I'm
which way
so
you're going to
old
go.
school. I'm so old school. And it's like, my children who are in their 30s and 40s are like, oh, mom, I'm like, I don't know if I trust it. You know what I'm saying? To give good, valuable information. And I've sat in on, oh my God, this survey is the best thing ever, and blah, 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 using AI. Your class. We're kind of losing the the touch, right? The human touch.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. And it's funny
That's
that
my
you said that about your kids. My daughter, who is in her 30s, owns an AI company. That's what she does, an AI marketing company. So yeah, we had some of the same experiences. So Wendy and Dan, um, in Arizona, how are you seeing the change in like? So we talked a little bit about how virtual events became more prominent during. Are you seeing the actual in-person events coming back a little more?
Yeah, they came back pretty much in 23. A lot of the groups that had canceled in 2020 moved forward to 23. So 23 was a banner year throughout the entire industry in hotels because of that. So they hadn't planned on that, obviously. So 23 was an exceptional year for all the entire hotel industry, not just Marriott, but everybody. Anyway, but it's back now, complete. We very rarely see a virtual, unless it's a small one. But everybody wanted to get back to that human interaction again. They missed that. So, but I'm like Vicki, very old school, touchy feely. I want to make sure I've looked at it and put the stamp on it. As far as AI for us, it hasn't touched our labor. They're trying to incorporate the thought process of it, but it's so gray. In a restaurant, for example, there's too many factors in it.
Even with labor, like I'm getting hired out by hotels to move furniture.
Right. Yeah. The thing with COVID had the pricing went skyrocketing because all this money was given to people and companies, and then the money went away, but the pricing stayed. For example, golf at resorts where we would charge, and I'm just make a figure up, $130 a tee time pre-COVID is now $350. Okay, they charge that because people were getting that extra money, and golf
they could
was
pay
very
it then, and now can they pay it now?
right. So the price never went down with the price with COVID pricing, right? So now you're to Vicki's point, it just stayed. The Encore is the vendor throughout Marriott with the audiovisual team. So you're right. That's the number one complaint is pricing for Encore, and that's just a tough pill to swallow. So a lot of them bring their own production company in, but they do have Encore still has the Wi-Fi.
Right. They have exclusives.
They control the
parts of
I
it,
remember that
rigging stuff like that.
Yep.
So
yeah. Well,
but they do get a little bit of spin-off from it. That's local stuff, breakout rooms, things like that.
Right. Well, talking about COVID, interestingly, COVID is really kind of behind the inception of Room Right. I don't know if you guys know the story, but what happened was Teresa, who is the owner, founder, president of Room Right, she and I were working together. I had actually hired her for a group event, in Cancun, Mexico. And it was right at the end of COVID. And so most of the people who had registered to attend, well, not most, but a lot of the people who had registered to attend were still hesitant to travel post-COVID. And so we had this huge attrition issue. I think we had like, I don't know, 30% of the rooms weren't going to be filled.
Sure.
And we had an attrition rate in the contract of like 10%. So we could, get out of 10%. But I'm like looking at the other 20%, and I'm like, we're going to have to pay for rooms for nothing. And I went to her and I said, is there anything, can't we figure something out? I mean, this is a great rate on these rooms in Cancun. Can't we like put it on some platform and have people buy these rooms? And she's like, well, I don't know of any platform that's going to let you do that. But then she came to me, she said, you know what? She goes, I have another group that is scheduled to go to Cancun a little bit later, like a month later. She goes, I'm going to talk to them and see if they'd be interested in moving up the date and taking your unused rooms, because it's a much better rate than they're going to get. And that's what happened. So this other company bought the rooms from us. And so we didn't have to pay the attrition. The rooms got filled. The hotel was happy. The resort was happy. And that's when she said, you know what? I wonder if that's something a problem that we could solve for a lot of companies. And that's really how RoomRight came about. Yeah. And she patented this platform. And, we can only provide or offer these rooms to groups, to group travel or travel meeting planners or professionals in the industry. Also, a lot of nonprofits can purchase these rooms on the platform. Anyway, that's kind of how RoomRight came about. And so that's what it's all about. And we just as an announcement to you guys, just recently we merged with another company and picked up another 300 hotels that are on the platform that are available pretty much all the time. They're international hotels, but so a little background on RoomRight. Wow. Any other comments on AI? Where you see AI heading and how it's going to affect the industry in the future? Either one of you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Another, I don't want to say pet peeve, but another concern that I have in the industry is the younger generation coming up, right? Like when I got into this, there was no hospitality college. There was no, you just kind of fell into it, right? Which is my story. I fell into this. I'm like, the exhibition industry, well, where my mind went when I first heard about this. I'm like, exhibition, what the hell are you talking about? But anyway, this younger generation, and there's like so many, I remember sitting in a session, it was like 9 different millennials and this and that, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what I am, right? But I think with the younger generation, they're going to demand that, right? As far as getting into this industry, because AI is where things are going. And I have concerns about that, and that's just that's all I'm going to say. I don't, I'm just concerned that they're going to take the old networking part of it out, which is huge part of, you can run into somebody at the bar, run into somebody here or there, and you make that connection and then your client, and I just think with AI, it's going to remove that human element. That's just my 2 cents. So
I think it has the potential to do that. But don't you think that there's also going to be some pushback? Like you were saying, Dan, I mean, people, they did all these virtual events, but as soon as they were able to, they wanted to get together and meet in person. And I think people crave that human interaction. And I think that, yeah, AI is going to play a huge part in the hospitality industry in the future, but I'm not sure that it's going to completely replace that personal interaction, that networking. At least I hope not.
That face-to-face, because that's what live events
that's
are
exactly
all about.
What it's all about, right?
Whether it's a conference, a convention, no matter what it is, it's that face-to-face. right?
Well,
Because
everyone knows you're like the customer guy.
Yeah, the big what I worry about when you talk about the generations, this may be I don't think it's to do with AI, but the generation now, we're in Gen Z now. So that these are the up and coming new folks, the new younger generation, excuse me, that I grew up as a boomer, if you will, as a customer service individual. There was nothing you didn't do for the customer that provided it was legal. Whatever the customer wanted, the customer's always right.
right.
And that we've gotten away from that. And that's what scares me. That scares me to death. You know, we lead with no. I see that a lot. And I fight it every day. I'm 65 years old in my office, and everyone else, it goes from 45, who's my boss, down to then the next range is 32 down to 21. So there's a big gap there as far as customer service, because it's this whole new generation is all about now, and they don't, because they don't have the interaction with customers that I was raised on. That's what scares me about that. I mean, luxury service, over the top, if you will. It's just, I feel it's gone, and it's slowly fading. Let me just say that.
Yeah, I see that throughout the service industry, not just hotels,
exactly.
hospitality industry. It's really hard to find someone in the service industry that is going to go above and beyond.
Exactly.
Except when they hand you the hand device to pay and they want a gratuity.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, you see it in restaurants, you see it everywhere. And I'm like, wait, what? What?
Yeah.
Why can't you just bring me the ticket?
Well, I know. I saw it in a cookie shop, and I'm like, you just went and got the cookie. Why am I tipping you?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Tipping, over tipping. It's just it's a little. Yeah, look at Vegas. I mean, Vegas. You can see what happens when you charge for everything. Vegas, a lot is high transient volume. Meaning guests coming in, not convention, but guests just traveling to Vegas. They're saying, no, we don't want to pay for that fee and this resort fee and that fee and that fee and the parking on top of that. And they're suffering, as you hear every day in the news, how they're dropping in occupancy levels and in tourist rates. So I always watch Vegas for what happens with the American public want to do, and where they're going to go, because it's not, you don't get the free breakfast or the $5.99 prime rib.
That's the thing. Vegas they tried to change their image from what they were, which was like, so I grew up in Utah, and we'd always go to Vegas because you could get, like breakfast for $1.99, and you could, stay at a hotel for $29 a night. That was why you went to Vegas. And then as soon as they started changing New York City prices, everybody's like, oh, you're not New York City. So, why am I going to go there?
Exactly.
Pay New York City prices. It's an interesting change that they made.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if anyone has any other comments, closing opinions, comments that they'd like to share, but I really appreciate you taking the time to just have this discussion.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Sorry about our dogs.
Oh no, that's fine. Is that a poodle?
They're doodles.
Yeah, doodles.
Oh, they're doodles. Okay.
Well, I just appreciate you taking time off of your vacation. I don't know if I'd do that, but I really do appreciate you doing that. And Vicki, thanks for joining us and telling us about it. And hey, if you ever have any questions about what RoomRight can do for you, or if there's anything we can do to help your businesses, let us know. And anything we can do to make it better, make the platform better, just let us know. And again, on behalf of RoomRight, I just appreciate you taking time to join us and have this discussion. Thanks, everybody.
You know what, Lon? At some point, I don't know, do you guys do an online demo?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay. Because I have a couple clients I've already reached out to that have expressed some interest, and they asked me that question. I said, I don't know, but I assumed you did.
You bet. You bet we'll do that anytime.
All right,
So-
cool. All right.
Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. Okay, have a
All
great
right,
day.
thanks. Have a wonderful
Okay.
day. Enjoy your vacation, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Hey.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.